welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report, today for September the 30th of 2019. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams, and 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I bring you the hottest gaming news that you need to know right here on youtube.com/SamuelAdamsMedia. Now, if you don't like seeing my ugly mug, you can always head over to a podcast service such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, or many others, and subscribe to the audio version of the show to maintain your knowledge of what's happening in the gaming industry. But today we have some bad news for Nintendo Switch Lite owners because the handheld has been added to the JoyCon drift lawsuit. It looks like Nintendo's old nemesis is back again with the new hardware revision. Then, speaking of lawsuits, the Duke Nukem 3D composer is suing Randy Pitchford, Gearbox and Valve. EA is doing some shady stuff with FIFA 20. I mean, that's to be expected with loot boxes and microtransactions, but there's a little bit more shady-ness going on with this year's edition. However, that's not stopping sales. We will talk more about that. Sony's Uncharted movie has a brand new director. There are some new PlayStation hits coming your way if you did want to get some bang for your buck on the PlayStation 4. And speaking of good deals, you can play Apex Legends for free. Not hashtag sponsored, I'm just saying. And Season 3 looks like a pretty good update to the game. But that's going to be your lineup for today's show. And again, I do hope you enjoy what I bring to the table. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. First off, Nintendo's week-old Switch Lite has been added to the JoyCon drift lawsuit. In the ongoing saga of Nintendo's JoyCon drift problem, it appears even the Switch Lite is not immune. On Saturday, complaints about the barely week-old system were added to a class action lawsuit against Nintendo. Originally filed in July, the lawsuit alleges Nintendo knew about a design defect in the Switch's controllers and has failed to correct or acknowledge the problem. This issue causes a Joy-Con's analog stick to register input, aka drift, even when nothing is touching it, significantly disrupting gameplay. And it does not appear to have been fixed with the Switch Lite. Online reports of players experiencing drift on Nintendo's newest system started cropping up days after its release, several of which were referenced in the lawsuit. Quote, "I can't believe it, my Nintendo Switch Lite is already drifting," one player cited wrote. "I was playing Breath of the Wild and the camera kept moving without touching the analog stick. I tried to calibrate and update the controllers, but it was still the same." Another user says, "I beat Link's Awakening over the weekend on my original Switch Lite system," said another. "I had only put like 20-something hours on it and it started to show Joy-Con drift. Why is this happening earlier on than with the earlier Switch?" The firm Chemicals, Swartz, Kreiner, and Donaldson Smith, CSK&D, is representing 18 plaintiffs in 16 different states as part of this suit, which goes on to cite online complaints of drift with a new version of the Switch released last month. This updated version sports a longer battery life and apparently the exact same Joy-Con defect. While there are no official numbers indicating how widespread this problem may be, online complaints have been cropping up since the Switch's launch in 2017. At least 3 Gizmodo staffers have personally experienced Joy-Con drift, including the author of this article, and it can render a game downright unplayable if any kind of speed or accuracy is required, so most games. Though not nearly as frustrating as having the issue crop up on the Switch Lite, while Nintendo has not addressed the problem in any kind of detail, the company did begin offering free Joy-Con repairs, no questions asked, after the lawsuit was entered. But the Switch Lite's controllers are built into the system itself, which means any kind of fix would involve shipping the whole thing off to a repair center, a process I can tell personally takes you weeks. Tomorrow I'll be going into my 3rd and still counting, the author says. Plenty of online tutorials have popped up offering DIY methods for troubleshooting and fixing Joy-Con drift yourself, but they don't always work, and in the case of the Switch Lite, could damage the console itself. According to a company memo obtained by Vice, Nintendo does not require warranty information as part of this free Joy-Con repair offer, but there's been no official news yet regarding anything similar with its newest system. Worst case scenario, you could just be out a Switch Lite. Nintendo did not immediately respond to Gizmodo's request for comment, but you can find the updated complaint in its entirety via the article on Gizmodo, and of course you can also sign up to have your name entered in to participate in the litigation. And so we have bad news for Nintendo yet again. And I do want to say, I thought this was going to be a problem very early on. The reports of the Joy-Con drift really began to come into the limelight whenever we started to hear rumors about the announcement of the Nintendo Switch Lite, which came just days before the console itself was announced. And so once you realize there are issues, it was kind of too late because the plans had already been sent to production. These things were already in development, in production. And so then they were simply shipped out, and this is where we sit today. This is going to become a big problem for Nintendo going forward. I don't think it's going to be crippling for the Nintendo Switch, but it certainly is not a good look because the drift can, as the article says, vastly impact your gameplay performance and also the enjoyment of the game whenever your accuracy is, I suppose, lessened simply because of a hardware malfunction. Now, hopefully, they will find some kind of fix going forward. I have no doubt the people behind the scenes are trying to design a new version of the Joy-Con and the controllers built into the Nintendo Switch Lite that will be, of course, released with a new iteration, the next line of production. But the big question is, how many of these systems are out in the wild? How many of these could be affected by Joy-Con drift? And I would say a good many. I have seen reports of very large shipments of the Nintendo Switch Lite hitting store shelves, and going into the holiday season, this is going to be a very disruptive issue for Nintendo because imagine on Christmas morning you open up your box as a kid between the ages of 10 and 15 and lo and behold it's a Nintendo Switch Lite. Then by the new year you can't control any kind of game with any kind of amount of accuracy. That's going to be a big issue come January, February. Mark my words, a lot of angry parents are going to be calling Nintendo and they are going to be having a lot of problems with that. But of course, at least there is a class action lawsuit going into effect, but still, just a bad look overall because I would rather have a functional piece of hardware than have to go through the hassle of becoming involved in any kind of class action lawsuit, which more than likely isn't going to get you too much money because that's how these things work. But if you are impacted, by all means, take advantage of the resources given to you, but still very disappointing. I have heard fantastic and phenomenal things about the Nintendo Switch Lite. I've heard that it's pretty much the best thing since the PlayStation Vita. It's a blend of that and the 3DS. It really just does a lot of stuff very, very well, except for the Joy-Con drift, and so hopefully Nintendo is working on a fix for that. But moving on to another lawsuit, Duke Nukem 3D composer is suing Randy Pitchford, Gearbox, and Valve. Bobby Prince claims his music was used in Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary World Tour without permission. Composer Bobby Prince, who wrote music for Doom, Doom 2, Wolfenstein 3D, and Duke Nukem 3D, has filed a lawsuit against Gearbox Software, the company's chief executive Randy Pitchford, and Valve, claiming that his music was used in 2016 shooter Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary World Tour without his permission and without him receiving compensation. In a document submitted to U.S. District Court, Eastern District of Tennessee, Prince's attorneys described how 16 songs he wrote were used in 1996 shooter Duke Nukem 3D under an agreement with developer Apogee. Apogee, I believe I said that probably correctly, had a limited right to use Mr. Prince's music in Duke Nukem 3D in exchange for a royalty equal to $1 per unit sold, they said. Prince had registered the copyrights for the songs. Gearbox Software purchased certain rights to the Duke Nukem games from Apogee in 2010. Prince claimed the company went on to use his music in Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary World Tour, the 2016 update to the shooter, without his permission. The electronic files for the music within Duke Nukem 3D World Tour include text specifically stating that Mr. Prince owns the copyright to the music and has reserved all rights to the music's use. The court document read, "Yet Gearbox incorporated the music into the game without ever contacting Mr. Prince and without clearing the rights expressly mentioned in the electronic files." Furthermore, Prince claimed he contacted Randy Pitchford requesting royalties for the music in the 2016 game and was told he would be, quote, taken care of, but never received any money. Pitchford also refused to remove the music from the game, Prince's attorneys said. Prince also contacted Valve, he claimed, regarding the distribution of the game on Steam. Valve ignored a takedown notice, thus waiving any immunity under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act and continued distributing infringing copies of the music despite knowing that Mr. Prince owned the copyrights in the music, the document reads. Gearbox Software, Gearbox Publishing, Randy Pitchford, and Valve have been given 21 days to respond to the summons. This is what happens when you go against somebody's copyright. Now, I don't know how much money this individual is looking to make from Duke Nukem 3D's 20th anniversary release, because I don't think it really made that much money to begin with. But hey, if it's his work, then he is entitled to the compensation that is due for him. And so hopefully this is all handled in court. I mean, I, of course, am always on the side of the creator in this sense, because when it really comes down to it, it's an iffy situation, considering the fact that, yes, it was a very long time ago. Yes, the copyright was for that specific game. Then the rights were purchased. How does that all work? That's for a judge to decide, not a 22-year-old with a podcast to decide. But a lawsuit is in the works, and it looks like Randy Pitchford, Gearbox, and Valve had better lawyer up As should Electronic Arts. Ooh, transition, because EA is trying to cover up FIFA 20's broken career mode by deleting forum posts. FIFA 20 actually releases today, they wrote on Friday, but one of its flagship modes is not in the best shape. Career mode has a long list of issues that either turn its take on realism into a bit of a joke or break the game entirely. It's gotten to the point where huge mega threads are having to be created on EA's help website that detail every problem, but according to some posts on Reddit, the publisher is actually deleting these posts in an attempt to downplay the game's flaws. In a post from Reddit user Spooky Mulder? What? God, I hate Reddit names. It is said that EA is attempting to silence the community and that their post, which has uncovered 8 new bugs, was deleted almost immediately after posting. They go on to link to a thread on EA's forums, which at the time of writing is still active, that contains numerous posts about how threads have been disappearing from the homepage. User Medboy101 said, after they cleaned up my thread from bumping, EA Lana welcome criticism. The criticism continued as they said that they don't silence that. After I posted 9 new reported bugs, EA closed my thread. EA is hours from release and tried to silence a report that the state of CM is currently unplayable. Of course, that is career mode. The state of FIFA 20's career mode did not go unnoticed by ourselves either, with Deputy Editor Robert Ramsey stating in the Push Square review, this year career mode is in desperate need of a patch or 2, or 3. It's functional, but it's shockingly buggy, the kind of bugs that take you right out of the game just when you're trying to immerse yourself in the search for glory with your favorite club. So what is your take on this, they ask at Push Square. This should never actually happen. Of course, the new trend for a lot of sports games is this career mode, which of course there has been this traditional career mode when you do try and like rise your way to the top. But the immersion of these recent sports games has been the big feature, and whenever that takes you out of the immersion entirely, it pretty much makes that portion of the game relatively useless. When it comes to just doing a one-off match here and there, I suppose the game would be okay, but considering the fact that career mode is being reported on this much, I would assume there is some kind of big issue. Now, I will never know because I probably will never get my hands on FIFA 20, have no desire to play it, not a big football guy myself, and I'm not a big FIFA guy either when it comes to the gaming side of that. But FIFA is one of the biggest games on the planet, and so if you are going to be bringing this career mode, if you are going to be doing this big, then you might as well go ahead and do it right. That's what Mama taught me. Yeah, I just said that. But yeah, so definitely don't delete posts that are trying to help. Pointing out issues in the game that you may or may not be aware of is definitely something that is, helpful whenever you're trying to squash the bugs and make the game worth playing. But hey, apparently EA's got it under control because they don't need our help. Oh no. But they are definitely going to be making up for that one. Whenever you delete the forum post, you get an angry community for sure. But not that angry because the game is selling incredibly well. FIFA 20 and Xbox One dominate the UK charts. FIFA boxed sales dropped by 7% year-on-year, however. Unsurprisingly, FIFA 20 has topped the UK box charts in its first week on sale. It is comfortably the biggest release of the year, although physical launch sales are down slightly compared with FIFA 19, a drop of 7% year-on-year. The PS4 version of the game accounted for 61% of the sales, with Xbox One Edition accounting for 38%. The Nintendo Switch Legacy version accounted for 1% of the sales. The PS4 physical version attracted fewer sales this year, with both the Xbox One and Switch versions enjoying a slight increase in sales. The Xbox One version was boosted by a special hardware bundle available from Game, Amazon, and the Microsoft Store. The all-digital Xbox One S was bundled with FIFA 20, Minecraft, Sea of Thieves, and Forza Horizon 3 for £169. This meant that Sea of Thieves rose from number 21 to number 7, up nearly 200%. Minecraft on Xbox rose from number 22 to number 9, up 197%. And Forza Horizon 3 increased 183% and is at number 10. This all shows the impact a major release like FIFA can have on console sales and the performance of other titles bundled in. Outside of FIFA 20, the next big release was Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age. The Square Enix game debuts on Switch at number 11 and arrives almost a year after the PS4 version, selling about half of what that version managed in its first week. Meanwhile, Bandai Namco's Code Vein reached number 13, and Focus Home Interactive's The Surge 2 came in at number 35. Wow, that one's low. Last week's number 1, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, drops to number 2 with a 62% fall in sales week on week. Borderlands 3 tumbles from 2 to 3 with a 45% sales dip, and Gears 5 holds firm at number 4 with a 70% increase in sales. Nice. Rounding off the top 5 is Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled Activision game. Rose 74% in sales due to some price activity at UK retail. And the other games in the top 10 also increased in sales. And of course, again, that top 10 is from top to bottom. Number 1, FIFA 20. Number 2, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Number 3, Borderlands 3. Number 4, Gears 5. 5, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. Number 6, Tom Clancy's The Division 2. 7, Sea of Thieves. 8, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. 9, Minecraft Xbox Edition. And 10, Forza Horizon 3. And so we have the newest reports from the UK, the land down under. I'm just kidding. That's not what it is. But seriously, this does go to show just how big the Xbox One bundles can be when it comes to what people are looking for right now. As I tend to say, there are certain games that people go and buy one-off on a year-to-year kind of basis. You've got FIFA, you've got Call of Duty, you've got Madden. These games tend to sell very well, and it might be the only game that somebody buys during the entire year. And so whenever you bundle that game in with a new piece of hardware, that tends to get people that might be on the lookout for a new console, that might be trying to get in on the newest generation of consoles, albeit a bit late. That's how you reel those people in. And so therefore, you can bundle in a ton of games and boost all of them at once, which is exactly what we saw with Forza, which is what we saw with Minecraft, and which is what we saw with Sea of Thieves this week, all being bundled in with FIFA 20. But still, the game itself, FIFA 20, very broken apparently when it comes to the career mode, so you could be seeing this one backfire and people being disappointed overall. But still, cool to see Sea of Thieves especially bumping up there. That is a very passionate community and a very passionate team behind the scenes. But something that probably won't have too much passion, Sony's Uncharted movie, and it has found a brand new director in Travis Knight. The Bumblebee director is on board for the adaptation. As reported by Deadline, Sony's upcoming movie adaptation of popular adventure game series Uncharted has secured a new director in the form of Travis Knight, who most recently sat behind the lens for 2018 Transformers spinoff Bumblebee. Knight is the third director to pick up the cinematic adventures of Nathan Drake, who will be portrayed in the movie by your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man Tom Holland, following the departure of previous directors Dan Trachtenberg and Sean Levy before him. Details are still sketchy in regards to plot, but it is believed the film features a young Drake as he cuts his teeth in the dangerous world of treasure hunting. I assume the emphasis will be on adventure, as I can't quite picture Holland gunning down waves of mercenaries a la the video games, but we will see. And so we have the report of a brand new director finally being on board. And this one comes as a bit of good news, I would say, because Bumblebee was very good. And so that definitely does kind of lend me to believe that maybe the Uncharted movie could be saved a bit, but I'm still not going to get my hopes up that much. Now, of course, for those that don't know, Sony has started a brand new division that is specifically focused on taking PlayStation intellectual properties and refinagling them to be successful in other media, specifically the film industry. And so you have Sean Layden, I believe, behind the helm of that, really making sure that the PlayStation IP that are being used correctly and being used appropriately. And of course, a lot of money is going to be going into this because you have Tom Holland, and then you have Travis Knight now, which is a pretty big name in Hollywood, I would say. It's not going to be your James Cameron, it's not going to be your Michael Bay, but it is still a pretty significant name. And so hopefully the Uncharted movie does turn out well, but again, really kind of up in the air on that one. Just up in the air on that one. But Uncharted: The Lost Legacy could be a good sequel to the new Uncharted movie if it does end up getting a sequel, and it is one that has been added to the list of PlayStation hits along with other games as well. In fact, some pretty good games. Pick up a classic PS4 game, or 6, for $20. Sony has been making the best of its most popular games for the PS4 with its PS Hits program, which offers iconic titles for $20. When the program launched in June of last year, it included a range of older bestsellers like Uncharted 4, Bloodborne, and Metal Gear Solid 5. From October the 4th on, a raft of new games will be added to the lineup, including Far Cry 4, Gran Turismo Sport, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and the award-winning God of War. You will be able to pick up any of these titles, plus Rayman Legends, The Crew, and Watch Dogs for $19.99 each through the PlayStation Store. This will bring the total number of games and PlayStation hits to nearly 50, and you can see the full lineup on the PlayStation website. The program also runs in Canada, though there are a different selection of games available and the prices vary. In Europe, Sony is adding 3 titles, including God of War, to the hits lineup, which sells for €19.99 and £15.99. As these games are older titles, they often are sold at discount already. However, having their price reduced in the store is likely to have a knock-on effect on retailers, so you can expect them to be cheaper in non-Sony stores as well. Again, those games include Far Cry 4, Gran Turismo Sport, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, as well as, of course, the award-winning God of War, Rayman Legends, The Crew, and Watch Dogs, all $20. Now, the standout here, needless to say, God of War. This game is worth $20. This game is worth $60. It was phenomenal. Really, really fantastic game. Totally worth checking out. I would say a must-play. In fact, it might be the must-play of this console iteration. Then, of course, Gran Turismo Sport, a game that has gotten a ton of love after release. One that a lot of people don't appreciate because the game continuously gets updates, even though you never really hear too much about Gran Turismo Sport. In a way, it's better than Forza Horizon, in my opinion. Because of the continual updates, the love put into the game. Really one that is worth checking out if you are looking for a pretty good time. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, one that's a bit shorter as compared to Uncharted 4, even Uncharted 3, but still worth picking up because of the kind of hub world you can explore in it. Once you dive in, you'll understand what I mean. The other ones, Far Cry 4 is fine, nothing big there. Rayman Legends, of course, has been given away for free multiple times. The Crew, and Watch Dogs, also another So, $20 can get you some pretty good times, but without a doubt, God of War, Gran Turismo Sport, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, all very much so worth that cash. But you can always play Apex Legends for free if you are down on that cash now that Season 3 is coming about. World's Edge is a new map coming with Apex Legends Season 3. Meltdown kicks off tomorrow and will feature the new map World's Edge, but is it enough for you to return to Respawn's acclaimed free-to-play first-person shooter? In fact, over at VG247, it is acclaimed because they have added 3 Cs. But we want to know, so tap the embedded poll below, and if you want to leave more details, please drop a comment. That's going to be a big old yes for, oh man, it took me to Twitter, yes from me. Because I am a lot of people are not going to be checking it out. I am excited because that's the thing with Battle Royale games. These seasonal iterations, these seasonal updates, they come about, they come and go, but not too many of them completely undermine the game itself and make a completely and totally new map. Now, you have seen new maps introduced to PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, but outside of that, with Fortnite, you've pretty much seen seasonal updates. With Apex Legends, even with Season 2, you just saw the updates that didn't really change the map that much, but with a totally new map, I think this could very well be laying down a brand new foundation. Now, according to the description of the new map, molten heat and chemical ice collide on this map located on the planet Talos. You will get an idea of what to expect from the map by watching the cinematic trailer below. You'll see geysers, a new drop vehicle, an action scene on a moving train. It all looks pretty thrilling. Maybe it's time to jump back in. And of course, there's always the new hero Crypto, who was revealed last week. We talked about it on an episode of the show. He uses specialized surveillance drones, but he uses other ways, to take down enemies, as you see in the trailer. Once we know more about the character and his abilities, we will be sure to update you, they say at VG247. And of course, Apex Legends Season 3 Meltdown drops on October the 1st. So if you do want to dive in on the PS4, the Xbox One, or the PC, you can check out the brand new map, the brand new hero, and get some dubs in. Now, I will say, I thought it dropped earlier, so I logged on to play this weekend, and man, that game still feels very, very stale. I played way too much of that at launch. But with that being said, that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you are brand new here and you enjoy what I bring to the table, hit that subscribe button on YouTube or a podcast feed near you. Get the show delivered to you every single weekday, Monday through Friday. It's always a good time, and I always keep you up to date and informed. But until the next one, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I will talk to you soon, and peace.